Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Given or giving freely. A liberal backer of the arts. A person who favors a political philosophy of progress and reform and the protection of civil liberties. Showing or characterized by broad-mindedness. A liberal newspaper. Not literal. A person who favors an economic theory of laissez-faire and self-regulating markets. Having political or social views favoring reform and progress. Tolerant of change. Not bound by authoritarianism, orthodoxy, or tradition. Given or giving freely. Was a big tipper. Very intense. In a big rage. Prodigious. Big spender. In a boastful manner. He talked big all evening. Of animals, fully developed. In an advanced stage of pregnancy. Was big with child. Conspicuous in position or importance. A big figure in the movement. Generous and understanding and tolerant. A heart big enough to hold no grudges. Feeling self-importance. Too big for his britches. Exhibiting self-importance. Big talk. Above average in size or number or quantity or magnitude or extent. Set out for the big city. Loud and firm. A big voice. Marked by intense physical force. A big wind. Significant. Graduation was a big day in his life. On a grand scale. Think big. Given or giving freely. Given or giving freely. The bounteous goodness of God. Producing in abundance. The bountiful earth. Given or giving freely. Bountiful compliments. Given or giving freely. A free-handed host. Done by hand without mechanical aids or devices. Given or giving freely. Saturday's child is loving and giving. The act of giving. Disposing of property by voluntary transfer without receiving value in return. The alumni followed a program of annual giving. The imparting of news or promises, etc. He gave us the news and made a great show of the giving. Given or giving freely. A handsome allowance. Pleasing in appearance, especially by reason of conformity to ideals of form and proportion. Very pretty but not so extraordinarily handsome. Given or giving freely. Her fond and open-handed grandfather. A person who favors a political philosophy of progress and reform and the protection of civil liberties. Favoring or promoting reform, often by government action. A person who favors a political philosophy of progress and reform and the protection of civil liberties. A tense of verbs used in describing action that is ongoing. Advancing in severity. Progressive paralysis. Favoring or promoting progress. Progressive schools. Gradually advancing in extent. Of a card game or a dance, involving a series of sections for which the participants successively change place or relative position. Progressive euchre. Of taxes, adjusted so that the rate increases as the amount of income increases. Showing or characterized by broad-mindedness. A broad political stance. Having great, or a certain, extent from one side to the other. A river 2 miles broad. Not detailed or specific. A broad rule. Lacking subtlety, obvious. Gave us a broad hint that it was time to leave. Being at a peak or culminating point. Broad daylight. Broad in scope or content. An invention with broad applications. Very large in expanse or scope. A broad lawn. Of speech, heavily and noticeably regional. A broad southern accent. Slang term for a woman. Abroad as a woman who can throw a mean punch. Showing or characterized by broad-mindedness. Showing or characterized by broad-mindedness. Tolerant of his opponent's opinions. Tolerant and forgiving under provocation. Able to tolerate environmental conditions or physiological stress. The plant is tolerant of saltwater. Showing the capacity for endurance. Injustice can make us tolerant and forgiving. Showing respect for the rights or opinions or practices of others. Not taken up by scheduled activities. A free hour between classes. Part with a possession or right. Not fixed in position. He pulled his arm free and ran. Relieve from. Free or remove obstruction from. Free a path across the cluttered floor. Remove or force out from a position. He finally could free the legs of the earthquake victim who was buried in the rubble. Grant freedom to. Free from confinement. Make assets available. Release gas or energy as a result of a chemical reaction or physical decomposition. Free from obligations or duties. Make information available for publication. Completely wanting or lacking. People who are free. The home of the free and the brave. Not literal. A free translation of the poem. Without restraint. Costing nothing. Free admission. Grant relief or an exemption from a rule or requirement to. Let off the hook. Not held in servitude. After the Civil War he was a free man. Not limited or hampered, not under compulsion or restraint. Free enterprise. Not occupied or in use. A free locker. Unconstrained or not chemically bound in a molecule or not fixed and capable of relatively unrestricted motion. Free expansion. Of textures, full of small openings or gaps. A loose weave. Make loose or looser. Loosen the tension on a rope. Having escaped, especially from confinement. Dogs loose on the streets. Emptying easily or excessively. Loose bowels. Grant freedom to. free from confinement. Turn loose or free from restraint. Let loose minds. Not affixed. The stamp came loose. Not literal. A loose interpretation of what she had been told. Casual and unrestrained in sexual behavior. He was told to avoid loose, or light, women. Not tense or taut. The old man's skin hung loose and gray. Without restraint. Cows in India are running loose. Become loose or looser or less tight. The noose loosened. Lacking a sense of restraint or responsibility. A loose tongue. Not officially recognized or controlled. A loose organization of the local farmers. Not carefully arranged in a package. A box of loose nails. Not compact or dense in structure or arrangement. Loose gravel. Not tight, not closely constrained or constricted or constricting. Loose clothing. Of a ball in sport, not in the possession or control of any player. A loose ball. More than is usual or necessary. A generous portion. Not petty in character and mind. Unusually generous in his judgment of people. Willing to give and share unstintingly. A generous donation. Incapable of being shocked. Inclined to respect views and beliefs that differ from your own. A judge who is broad-minded but even-handed. Not exact. The hand that is on the left side of the body. Jab with your left. The piece of ground in the outfield on the catcher's left. The batter flied out to left. Those who support varying degrees of social or political or economic change designed to promote the public welfare. Not used up. Leftover meatloaf. Intended for the left hand. I rarely lose a left-hand glove. A turn toward the side of the body that is on the north when the person is facing east. Take a left at the corner. Being or located on or directed toward the side of the body to the west when facing north. My left hand. Location near or direction toward the left side, i.e. the side to the north when a person or object faces east. She stood on the left. Of or belonging to the political or intellectual left. Toward or on the left, also used figuratively. He looked right and left. Of or relating to a welfare state. Having or showing active concern for protection of civil liberties protected by law. Having or demonstrating belief in the essential goodness of man and the autonomy of the individual. Favoring civil and political liberties, government by law with the consent of the governed, and protection from arbitrary authority. A liberal who subscribes to neoliberalism. Having or showing belief in the need for economic growth in addition to traditional liberalistic values. Favoring or promoting reform, often by government action. Favoring or promoting reform, often by government action. A disputant who advocates reform. Under group or government control. Under group or government control. Socialized ownership. Of or relating to a welfare state. designed to arouse lust. Adult movies. A fully developed person from maturity onward. Of animals, fully developed. An adult animal. Any mature animal. A fully developed person from maturity onward. Of animals, fully developed.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.